Most people believe they are good at their core. They imagine themselves acting with integrity in difficult situations, protecting those in danger, rejecting harmful orders, and defending justice even when the cost is high. This belief is comforting, but it often rests on circumstances that have never pushed them to their limits. Goodness that is never tested is not yet strength. It is potential waiting for evidence. Picture a quiet afternoon. Someone finds a lost wallet, checks the ID, and returns it. The act feels noble. But would that person behave the same way in fear, hunger, or desperation? Few people examine these possibilities, which is why their confidence in their own goodness often depends on stability, comfort, and predictable surroundings. This essay explores why ordinary people can lose themselves under pressure. It examines how situations shape behavior, how the mind adapts more quickly than expected, and how individuals can build a reliable sense of moral clarity. The goal is understanding, not judgment. The illusion of moral certainty. Many assume that harmful actions come only from cruel or broken people. This creates a safe distance. If evil belongs to others, then we are protected from it. Psychology reveals a more uncomfortable truth. Human behavior is deeply shaped by context. Alexander Solzhenitsyn wrote that the line dividing good and evil cuts through every human heart. His words remind us that no one lives beyond the reach of moral struggle. The capacity to harm and the capacity to protect exist within each person. Recognizing this does not diminish our humanity. It deepens it. It shows that goodness requires awareness, humility, and consistent self-reflection. When ordinary people change lessons from the Stanford prison study. In 1971, Philip Zimbardo created a simulated prison environment. Healthy university students were randomly assigned to be guards or prisoners. They walked in with ordinary moral instincts and no expectation of what would follow. Within days, guards became more controlling and dismissive. Prisoners withdrew, lost confidence, and accepted harsh treatment. The environment shaped their behavior more strongly than their previous values. Roles became stronger than identity. The experiment ended after 6 days. Zimbardo explained that the situation itself acted as a powerful psychological force. It pulled participants away from their usual sense of right and wrong. The study did not expose hidden cruelty. It revealed how quickly people adapt to expectations around them. It raises difficult questions. How much of our character depends on the safety of our environment? What happens when that environment changes? The 3 elements that bend. Morality psychological research highlights 3 conditions that make harmful behavior more likely. Anonymity. People behave differently when they feel unseen. Anonymity weakens accountability. The online world shows this clearly. Many express hostility behind screens that they would never express face-to-face. Without eye contact, empathy weakens. Oscar Wilde once wrote that if you give a man a mask, he will tell you the truth. The mask reveals impulses that everyday life normally restrains. Dehumanization. To harm another person, the mind often reduces their humanity. Labels make this possible. When people are described as outsiders, threats, or less than human, empathy fades. History shows that dehumanizing language frequently appears before violence. Once individuals are viewed as categories rather than complex human beings, their suffering becomes easier to ignore. Obedience. Stanley Milgram's experiments showed how easily people surrender responsibility to authority. Participants delivered what they believed were painful shocks simply because an authority figure encouraged them. Milgram concluded that obedience can silence conscience. Many participants did not want to continue, but did because they believed responsibility rested elsewhere. This helps explain how ordinary people become part of harmful systems. It is often not malice but habit, fear of conflict, and trust in authority. How people slide into harm. The quiet steps, most harmful actions, begin with small compromises, a minor lie, silence when someone is mistreated, an excuse for behavior that feels wrong. These choices accumulate. Each compromise becomes a new baseline. Over time, a person may no longer recognize how far they have drifted from their original values. Imagine an employee asked to change a report slightly. They feel uneasy but agree. The next month brings another request. Soon, the small lies become a pattern. What began as a minor concession quietly reshapes their identity. This drift does not occur because people are naturally corrupt. It happens because they stop paying attention to the small choices that shape their character. The shadow. We avoid Carl Jung believed that every person carries a shadow. It holds emotions and impulses that society discourages, such as anger, envy, and the desire for power. Many try to eliminate the shadow by ignoring it. Jung argued that this denial makes it stronger. When people reject their inner darkness, they lose the ability to guide it. Under stress or authority, that darkness can emerge unpredictably. Those who claim they are incapable of harm often react the most intensely when faced with power or conflict. Real strength begins with acknowledging the shadow. A person who claims they never feel anger may suddenly erupt. Someone who denies jealousy may undermine others without realizing it. Jung wrote that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. When people acknowledge their shadow, they gain the ability to guide it rather than be controlled by it. What heroic people do differently. Philip Zimbardo later studied resilience. He found that some people resist harmful pressure even when standing alone. He called this mindset the heroic imagination. Heroes are rarely defined by dramatic acts. They are ordinary people who act with courage during small, uncomfortable moments. They speak honestly, challenge unfair behavior, and refuse to follow harmful norms. Their actions may be quiet, but they shape families, workplaces, and communities. Building a personal code that endures. People who stay grounded under pressure rely on personal values. Their code is simple and clear. It does not depend on approval from others. Some commit to never lying. Others refuse to harm those who are vulnerable. Some speak up even when silence feels easier. These commitments act as anchors. In moments of confusion, they bring clarity. History is full of individuals who protected others during dangerous times. They did not rely on strength, status, or privilege. They relied on values they refused to abandon. The choice we face. Every day, good and evil are not distant forces belonging to different kinds of people. They live side by side within every human heart. The struggle between them takes place in daily decisions, from how we speak to how we treat others. Awareness is the beginning of moral resilience. When we understand the forces that influence behavior, we gain the ability to resist them. When we recognize our shadow, we learn to guide it. When we clarify our values, we become less vulnerable to pressure. The world often rewards silence and conformity. Yet courage is contagious. One honest voice can inspire another. The question is not whether good people can become harmful. The real question is whether we will choose awareness and integrity when our moment of pressure arrives. This essay offers reflection, not fear. It reminds us that the human heart is complex and capable of contradiction. The goal is not perfection. It is conscious living supported by compassion, courage, and responsibility. In the end, each person must decide what kind of influence they want to have. A single clear voice can change the tone of a room. A single honest act can interrupt a cycle of harm. The chance to lead with integrity appears every day, often in small ways. It begins with staying awake to who we are and who we hope to become.